Okay, hey Alcove. So I'm going to start going back into what we were talking about the government, and this one is going to be good, so you might want to listen up. So political scientists, sociologists, and historians often analyze these governance patterns through various theories of power, social control, and institutional preservation. From an academic perspective, when large organizations or governing bodies face a loss of public trust or shifting societal awareness, they frequently rely on established mechanisms to maintain stability and influence. Here is an objective breakdown of why these patterns occurred during times of widespread societal change. The mechanics of social management. Maintaining stability through division. Fragmented coalitions. Classic political theory suggests that a divided public is less likely to form a unified movement that challenges existing structures. In-group versus out-group dynamics. Visualizing societal issues as conflicts between different groups of citizens often shifts public focus away from institutional accountability. That's why they always pit us against each other. That's just, of course, that's what they're going to do. It helps them in the long run. It makes us look at other things while they're doing things in the background, right? Risk management and compliance. Fear as a motivator. Huge. Psychological studies show that fear and a sense of threat makes individuals prioritize immediate safety and security over long-term freedoms. Too funny what's happening right now, right before the midterms, right? Just had to say that. Crisis governance. Governments historically utilize economic crises, health emergencies, or national security threats to quickly implement policies that might otherwise face heavy public resistance. Financial interdependence and control. Economic leverage. Resource dependency. Centralized control over monetary systems, taxation, and interest rates ensures that individuals and businesses remain reliant on official infrastructure for basic survival. Of course, that happens constantly. And what were we talking in the last video? I was talking about how I believe with AI, they're going to go into a unified, income, like Bitcoin or whatever. I think that's where we're headed. I think even like a chip or something to track our finances and track how we're using them. If AI takes over all of our jobs, we're talking worldwide basic income for everyone. I absolutely think that that is a possibility. Tracking and compliance. That's so funny that that's the next topic. Modern financial tools, including digital banking, regulations, and shifting monetary policies allow institutions to monitor economic behavior and incentivize compliance. The reaction to shifting awareness. Institutional self-preservation. Slowing the momentum as an alternative media, decentralized networks, and independent communities grow. Traditional structures often amplify their messaging to retain their position as the primary authority. So the more that we realize things that are happening around us and what's going on, and opening our eyes and awakening to the fact that maybe we should be going back to our roots, or maybe we should be, thinking more about spirituality and consciousness and being more connected as human beings and connecting back with ourselves. Of course, they're going to push harder, right? They're going to push to keep everyone under the radar. Defending the status quo. Bureaucratic systems are inherently designed to protect their own existence and continuity, often interpreting a public shift towards self-reliance as a risk to societal order. The future will likely see a massive shift towards local self-reliance as centralized government systems struggle to manage growing economic and social pressures. Governments will likely try to use advanced technology and automation to maintain control, but this will push everyday people to build independent networks for their survival and peace. Here's how a dual reality would likely look and function. How the country will be run, top-down system. tech-driven control. Central governments will rely heavily on AI, automated surveillance, and digital tracking to manage resources and civil unrest. I think we've already seen this. Like, it's already starting to get to that point, right? Institutional decay. Large federal systems gridlocked by polarization and economic strain will become slower and less effective at solving everyday human problems. Corporate alliances. The boundary between major tech monopolies and state power will continue to blur, making public systems more transactional and cold. Bottom-up awakening. How people will start to live. Parallel communities. Frustrated by systematic failures, people will build decentralized networks for local food, alternative trade, and community care. Again, I think that's already started to happen in many scenarios. Humanity First movement. As AI takes over analytical jobs, human culture will deeply prize what cannot be automated. Empathy, physical craftsmanship, and spiritual connection. Sovereignty over compliance. Individuals will prioritize mental privacy and emotional independence, choosing to disconnect from the mainstream panic to protect their inner peace. The Great Intersection. A split reality. Society will divide into those who rely fully on digital government systems and those who step away to live a more natural and collective life. Crisis as a teacher. Economic shifts and systematic breakdowns will serve as the exact pressure point that forces large numbers of people to finally open their eyes and question the status quo. Humans are very likely on the verge of expanding the mind in many ways that would seem impossible today. When external systems break down and technology begins to take over logical tasks, the human mind is forced to activate its hidden potential to adapt and survive. The next step in evolution will not be about machines, but about unlocking deeper human capabilities. Unlocking hidden mental powers. Advanced intuition. People will learn to read situations and energy instantly to avoid manipulation and find safety. Higher emotional contrast. Experiencing deep societal hardships will allow the mind to process and feel positive emotions like total peace much more deeply. Energetic boundaries. Humans will develop the precise mental ability to instantly separate their own feelings from the heavy collective panic of the world, which I've talked about that as an empath, knowing when it's your emotions or when it's everything else that's happening in life that's like burrowing into you, and you're trying to hold on to all this stuff that it's not yours to hold on to, right? Moving beyond brain power. Heart-brain connection. Science and spirituality will merge as people learn to control their nervous systems to heal physical trauma using just their mind. Telepathic empathy. In close, highly aware relationships, communication will move past words into direct, unspoken emotional understanding. Ancient memory. Disconnecting from digital noise will allow the mind to tap into deep ancestral wisdom about nature and survival. Trigger for the leap. The AI mirror. Seeing machines mimic human logic will force us to realize that our true power lies in consciousness, spirit, and in love. Pressure creates diamonds. The intense stress of our current world is the exact evolutionary pressure needed to force the humankind and their mind to upgrade. I totally believe that, 100%. I think that's huge. That's when you start to do those things. I've said this in the past. The reason I got to where I am is because of that pressure, because of the things that I went through. That's the only way that I was able to truly look within and heal all the past stuff that you don't need to hold on to and let go of. And once you do that, it's amazing the difference that you feel when you actually let go of the stuff that you didn't need to be carrying in life. All right, cutting off mainstream news is a powerful step to protecting your peace. You can share several other daily lifestyle swaps to build a life of deep peace, mental clarity, and emotional safety. Here's some swaps. Swap scrolling for journaling. Trade the first 10 minutes of the morning. Instead of using your phone, write down your goals or process your thoughts. Swap notifications for airplane mode. Turn off non-essential phone alerts to stop apps from stealing your focus and your peace. I actually don't have hardly any notifications on my phone. And people do get upset when I don't answer, but I answer when I'm ready to answer. There's a difference, okay? Swap algorithms for intentional searches. Instead of letting video feeds choose what you watch, you decide what you watch. You search only for specific topics that you want to learn about. I do that all the time. I am always watching something that is going to further my mental capacity and my peace and my happiness. I don't, recently I will say that I've had a lot of videos about the government and things coming up on my phone and, people that I respect full-heartedly, but I can't watch too much of that. If I watch that for too long, I start reeling and I start thinking about all the negative things happening in the world, and I can't do it. That's why I stopped watching the news. I'm not going to do that to myself. When I'm ready to research it, absolutely, yes, I will go in a deep dive and start researching it, but I know when I have to pull myself back, and I did it the other day. I was making these videos and I said, no, I need to take a break. And I did. I took a break. I made a couple happy, fun videos. I took one day off so that I didn't post any videos. Like, I needed to pull myself back because thinking about this stuff constantly raises your stress. You're carrying it around with you and what the world looks like and all of these things happening. Like, sometimes you need to just detach and get back to yourself and back to your roots and back to finding your consciousness and like maintaining your peace. That is like my biggest piece of advice for someone that is constantly stressed. Like, take the time to just completely shut everything off. Be with yourself. Take some time for yourself. Like, it is so important to have that time of just peace and emptiness and let everything go and just be. Like, that is what life is all about. Be in the present. Have gratitude in your heart and just sit there and be with yourself. That is the best tip I could give anyone out there that has hardcore stress in their life. Like, you need that time to just be still and let go and not have to think about the next thing, the next whatever it is. Like, seriously. Swap loud audio for silence. There you go. Drive or do household chores in complete silence to let your mind process the day without the background noise. Environment and physical swaps. Swap artificial light for the sun. Look at the natural sunlight within the first hour of waking up to ground your body and your mood. Swap grocery chains for local routes. I do this as well. Buy from the local farmers market or connect with your community and eat cleaner, high vibrational foods. Swap screen time for soil time. Replace an evening TV show with walking barefoot on the grass and caring for plants to ground your energy. Swap chemical scents for natural ones. Trade in synthetic candles or air fresheners for pure essential oils to keep your physical space clean and calm. Social and energetic swaps. Swap small talk for deep truth. I like this one. Move away from shallow gossip and seek conversations about healing, growth, and higher consciousness. Swap out people-pleasing for clear boundaries. Say no to events or people that drain your battery without feeling guilty. Swap collective panic for solo reflection. When global events cause stress around you, step away to sit quietly and find your own center. So, that was the rest of what I had on this topic for now. But I truly think that the way that the world is moving and with all the stress and all the stuff that we are being put through, people are starting to wake up. People are getting back to their roots. I see it every day on social media. Maybe it's just my algorithm because I like to watch positive videos and positive people. But I think more and more we are headed in this direction. And I do think that it is like a diamond under pressure. The more pressure we are put under, the more people are going to wake up and want to go back to their roots, back to nature, back to healthy foods that they know where the food is coming from, know that there's no chemicals. You know, the amount of chemicals I'm sure that we are all consuming in a day is beyond me. And I just, you know, there's so many things. It's not just that. It's the media. It's the everything that we are consuming on a daily basis is trying to pull us away from ourselves and our communities and our heart space, you know. And I just think we really need to get back to being connected as human beings. If you're going to have a conversation with someone, put the phone away. Like, how rude is it when you speak with someone and they pull their phone out and they're not even half listening to you while they're texting someone else? You know, like, have a deep conversation with someone and put the phone away for 10 minutes and have that connection with another human being. Like, I think these things are so important to get back to and just get away from the world that we're living in sometimes and reconnect as human beings. So let me know what you guys think. Leave me a comment. Please follow, like, and share. I'd love to know your opinions. And I will see you in the next one.